You're not overeating, you're not lazy. You're trying to eat healthy, but you're still gaining weight, still tired every time, still weak even after resting for longer hours, and still craving sugar. What if the real problem isn't your willpower, but your hormones? Well, today we are breaking down insulin resistance, what it is, how it develops, and why millions of people in Africa, America, and the whole of Europe have it without knowing. So we shall begin with knowing what is insulin. Insulin is a hormone made by your pancreas, specifically by the beta cells of your pancreas. And its main job is simple. It is to balance and lower the glucose or the blood sugars. So when you eat carbohydrates like bread, like pasta, like rice, soda, cereals, or even fruits, your blood sugar rises. And what happens? So the body acts by producing insulin. So this is done by your pancreas. So the pancreas has cells that produce insulin, and these are the beta cells. So insulin acts like a key. It unlocks your cells and allows glucose to enter so that your body can utilize the sugars that you've eaten for energy. So it is within the cells that the sugars are converted into ATP, and it's ATP that your body uses as energy to power your muscles so that you can do work. So in a healthy system, you eat, but sugar rises, insulin is released, sugar enters the cells, blood sugar turns to normal. So simply. But when this system breaks down, that's where insulin resistance begins. So we are going to know what is insulin resistance. And I'll tell you simply that insulin resistance is when your cells stop responding properly to insulin. Imagine using a key to open your padlock and the padlock is not opening. Imagine knocking into a door.
Time to unlock this cell!
But the door
No,
doesn't open
the door is
easily
locked.
anymore. So that's what happens in the body. Your body produces insulin, but the cells are no longer responding to the orders of insulin. And so the body produces, or the pancreas produces more insulin to force the glucose inside. And over time, you discover that insulin levels keep getting high, or they stay high. And this will bring about more fat storage. And the energy in the body will become unstable. And then hunger issues. This is not your willpower problem. It's a biological adaptation. And of course, we are going to see how the diet and the lifestyle that we live causes this problem of insulin resistance in the body. Let's look at an example of someone living in the US whose typical day starts with a breakfast of sugary cereal, orange juice, white toast, and then lunch, he or she goes for a burger and fries and soda, or a granola bar with a flavored coffee, and then dinner, they go for pasta or pizza. Even if calories are not too extreme or not too much, but this pattern repeatedly spikes blood sugar in the body. So what happens if every day you start your day with that type of food, that type of diet, this pattern keeps your sugars elevated in the body every day. And your pancreas must release insulin again and again, over and over. And of course, over months or years, your cells start saying, we've had enough. They will say, we've had enough, enough is enough. And they restart and they respond less. This is simply insulin resistance. So what happens biologically is when the pancreas or the beta cells of the pancreas release insulin into the bloodstream, so the insulin will bind on the cell membrane, on the receptors. And these receptors trigger a signaling pathway that involves the insulin receptor substrates or the RS proteins and GLUT4 transporters. So the GLUT4 transporters move the glucose from the blood into the muscles and fat cells. But in insulin resistance cases, inflammation interferes with the insulin signaling, and the excess fatty acids that accumulate in the cells also bring about mitochondria becoming less efficient. And of course, in chronic high insulin cases, the receptors will be down regulated. So glucose stays in the bloodstream longer. So the pancreas and the bad thing with the pancreas, it continues to respond by producing more insulin. And of course, this causes what we call the hyperinsulinemia or the chronically high insulin levels. And high insulin promotes fat storage, especially around the abdomen. And of course, that's one sign that you can look at. When you accumulate around, so much fat around the belly, that's one sign that you have or you're dealing with insulin resistance. Can insulin resistance be reversed? The good news is, yes, it can be reversed. But of course, this must be done in the early stages because your body is very flexible and it's very adaptable. That means you can train it into something that you want. You can reverse this. And improving insulin sensitivity is the way to go. It's the way to reduce or to reverse insulin resistance. And of course, this is going to involve dietary and lifestyle changes. Of course, dietary-wise, you're going to include more fiber in your meals. Include more fiber in your meals. You're going to reduce refined sugars in your meals, in your diet. You're going to improve sleep. Improve sleep. Rest sufficiently. Rest sufficiently. And also manage the stress. Manage your stress. Of course, I'm going to advise you also do more exercises. And of course, this will even help you reduce your visceral fats and general body weight. Because even just 5 to 10% weight reduction can significantly improve insulin response. And of course, I'm going to give more signs that everyone else, everyone out there must look at. You might have insulin resistance. Number 1, constant fatigue, especially after meals. That's 1. Number 2, cravings for sugars or carbohydrates. Number 3, belly fat that won't go away. So many people are growing big bellies. That could be one sign that you're dealing with insulin resistance. Another one is the brain fog, skin darkening, especially around the neck, difficulty in losing weight, and sometimes feeling shaky, especially if you skip meals. And sometimes people think maybe it's just aging. No, you're dealing with insulin resistance. Having insulin resistance in the body isn't something you just have to look at, because it has dangerous repercussions in the long run. It has healthy issues that it may cause you. So if it's untreated, of course, insulin resistance can progress to prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, fatty liver, and of course cardiovascular diseases. This is why insulin resistance is considered the foundation of metabolic diseases or metabolic syndrome. So if you are constantly getting tired, fatigued, weak all day, even after resting for long, you find issues with weight loss, you struggle with weight gain, and of course, you struggle with the cravings. It may not be a discipline issue. You may be struggling with insulin resistance. So understanding your biology is the first step to changing that. Because when you understand the science behind your body, you stop blaming yourself. You start making smarter decisions. You do something about it. And once you do something about it, you live a good life. Of course, you can continue scrolling and checking on our previous videos. You learn more, because in this channel, we break down complex healthy science into simpler, practical knowledge. Subscribe, like, comment, and share for more healthy tips and science facts.